All right. Hello, everyone. So today we're going to be talking about how you can work with remote teams using Git and Bitbucket, or GitHub would work too. It doesn't really matter, any remote repository. And how you can make sure that you can add new features and add code even in the same files, and how to deal with what happens when you get conflicts from people making changes in the same place. And so we're going to go over all that. And to get started, we'll start by looking at our remote repository that we already have. It's called remote repo example. There's one commit on master by me that just has an initial customer class that we created, and you can see the commit here. And then all you see is we just added this customer class file, and that's it. That's the only thing that's in the repo right now. And you can actually see the same thing on our end. So if you go to here, where we have the remote repository, and right click and do git bash here, again, you'll need to have git installed. And when you do this, you you'll see if we do a quick ls, you'll see that we just have the customer.java file. And if we open that in uh, Notepad or any text editor, you'll see the same customer class that we saw before. And so now the history looks something like this. We're on the remote repository, we just have the one commit for the init, and on the local repository, we also have the local commit for init. And so now they're in a synchronized state, so they both have the same commits. But now that's all great, but we need to actually do some work at some point. And so we're going to implement a feature. And so the way that we'll start off by doing that is to first know which feature we're going to work on. And so we'll say we'll be tasked with adding an extra field and getter and setters to this customer class. So we'll add them a middle name. And so that's what we'll work on. And so the first thing you want to do is make sure that your master branch is up to date. So we'll pull, all right, and it looks like everything seems to be fine with that. So we'll do a get status first to see what's going on. And we'll see what's a little different. Okay, there's just some white space. So if you end up with a little difference like this on the master or main branch, we don't want to actually keep it around. So we'll do git restore customer.java to get rid of that. And then now, okay, now we know that it's in sync. So that was just a little leftover from me opening the file and accidentally adding some white space in it. But so before you check out your new branch for your feature, you still want to pull to see if there's any changes from the remote repository. And right now, there's nothing, no files that we had that needed to be updated, because before you make your feature, you always want to make sure that your branch that you're making the feature off of is up to date. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make a new feature branch. And so the feature we're working on is add middle name to customer. All right, so now we're on that new branch. And so what's happened here is, I'm going to draw this in green. The head of master right now is here. And then in blue, we just created a new branch. And there's no commits right here. So right now, our feature branch is right here. But we haven't done any commits yet, so there's nothing here. So the only thing in the history is still just this initial commit, but then we have the two branches on this commit. And you can see that by doing git log. And in git log, you see on this one commit, we have the feature branch right here and the master branch. So both of the heads of that are right here. All right, so now we're going to actually make some changes. So uh, in this customer.java folder, we're going to want to copy the first name, get and setter for the first name. And then to change it to middle name, we'll just do a quick find and replace here and do first and replace it with middle in the section. And there we go. So now we have our new getters and setters, right? Just like that. That was pretty easy. All right, so now we have get first name, get middle name. It looks like I misspelled it, so it should be capital M for middle. So that was a little bit of a mistake, but it'll be okay, because all we have to do is just do a quick capitalization there, and then we're good to go. And then we also want to replace this field with middle name, and then add an extra parameter, string middle name, and say this dot middle name equals middle name. All right, so there we go. So now we added our middle name to our customer. And so we'll go back to our Git terminal and do git status. Then we see that the customer file has been modified because we just changed it. And then we'll do git diff to see those changes. And everything looks like we expected. We add the field, change the constructor, set the initial value. We added the getters and the setters. So that's everything that we did. So that's what we expect. So we'll go ahead and then add our changes. We'll go ahead and then commit them and say added middle name to customer. So a good commit message tells you what you did in the commit, and that's what we did. All right, and then if we do git status, then we say, okay, we're on this feature branch. So now the question is, so I've done my work, I've completed my feature, I have my commit. So how do I get this work to the point where other people on my team can use it and share it? And so the answer is by putting this code in the remote repository, and then so that way it has this feature branch. So now we do, and the way you do that is you push this feature branch. So when you push, think you're going from having this branch locally or having these commits locally on your machine in your repository, in your local repository. And then you push them to the remote repository. So the remote has it. And then anybody on your team can go to the remote repository and then get those changes. So the way that you do that is git push set upstream. And so what this does, the set upstream part, sets where you are, the stream of data from your local branch to the remote place. And so it's upstream because it's going from you to them. So it's going up the stream. And so origin, where it's from, and then your branch name. And it's just feature dot / add middle name to customer. And I just use tab to autocomplete that. Okay, so now they should have that in their repository. And then you can verify that by going to this site, clicking on branches, and then you'll see it here, feature add middle name to customer. And now you'll notice that if you look at the commits in the master branch, it still only has this. So all those new commits that we made are only in the add middle name to customer branch. They're not in the master branch. So our teammates still can't really use this directly on the master branch yet. We need to get the code from the remote repositories add middle name branch to the master branch or main branch. And the way that you do that, you could just merge it directly, but we want to go through a process here called a pull request. And so what a pull request does is you're requesting to move the code from your feature branch to the master branch. And the reason why you do this is so that way your teammates can review your code before you merge it in to make sure that you aren't leaving something undone. You're doing everything that the feature says it's going to do and nothing else, so that way you don't gold plate it, and that your code is following style guidelines and good clean coding practices. So it lets your teammates review it, and then they can teach you, and you can get better and learn from them, and they learn from you by looking at your code. So this is the main reason why you want to do this. There's lots of really good ways, and you can make sure that your code's being tested. So if one of my teammates or myself forget to write enough tests for it, then we can say, hey, I think you're missing a test. And it gives them a time to be able to do that. And typically you want to delete the branch after you're done with it. So that way your remote repository doesn't end up with hundreds of branches for all the features you do over the lifetime of a project. And normally you add a description to it, but right now the title is sufficient. But for a bigger pull request, when you're doing more things, then this is an opportunity for you to give some of the reasons why you did some of the stuff, or even better, just explaining the different features or reasons why you had to do something that might look a little odd. And otherwise, your teammates will comment on it. So that's it. You want to make sure it's going from the feature branch to the master branch. And so you just create the pull request, and it will show up here. So there you go. And then your teammates have the opportunity to add comments to it. And then it's really easy for them to see what code you've added in green and then the code you've removed in red. All right. And then so what's going to happen is a teammate that you have will have to approve this pull request first. So they'll have to read through it. And then if they think it looks good, they click approve. And then once they click approve, the person who created the pull request then merges it in. And then and only then master will have the code that you're adding here. So it's really good practice before you create these pull requests to make sure that there aren't any existing pull requests that would uh, be conflicting with it. So I'm going to go look and see that my brother added a pull request too, and it looks like his pull request is adding a last name field. And it looks like he actually did something very similar to me, where he added a last name field. So that must have been his feature to add a last name field to the customer. Now, since we both added changes in the file, whoever does this second is going to run into a problem. So since this looks okay to me, I'm going to go ahead and approve this pull request. And since he's not here right now, I'm going to go ahead and merge it. But normally, since he created the pull request, he would be the one to merge it. But just for the sake of the video, I'm going to do that now. And so I'm going to go ahead and close the source branch. So we're getting rid of his branch and then merging the commit. All right. So now if we go back to master, it shows the initial creation of the customer class, my brother adding the last name field, and then it being merged in. So that's what it looks like right now. So in the remote repository, this is what the commit history looks like. We have the init, the creation of the last name field, and then a merge. So right now, that's what's in the remote. And we don't have that yet, because right now on our end, the only thing we have is one commit for when we add the middle name, and that's it. So we want to be able to get these changes and then put them into our branch locally before we do anything with this pull request. Otherwise, when we try and complete the pull request, we're going to run into a problem where these two things aren't lining up and they don't look the same. So on our end, that means we need to do some things. So we want to go get that code that my brother's pull request just merged in. So we check out the master branch and then we pull those changes. So now if you look at the log, you'll see those commits. We have the initial customer class, which was this commit right here. So you see how the initial customer class relates to this init commit here. This adding last name field relates to this last name commit here. And then this is the merge commit right here. So that's what the history looks like right now for us. So we can go ahead and update our little chart here and then say that now this part looks the same. But we have a problem that this commit down here is still behind. So I'm going to go ahead and move the M to say that this is the head of the master branch. This is, can I grab this? There we go. So the M stands for the head of the master branch. So this is where master is right now, which looks the same as in the remote repository. And in our local repository, right now, the only thing we have is this commit, and it's still behind. So what we'll need to do is to create a merge commit on our local branch so that we get these changes. Otherwise, we'll run into some issues. But we've already actually done something a little wrong. So we should have done the pull request for our teammate first, because right now we already have a pull request out here that's a little behind. So what you can do is, the easiest way to handle this is to actually cancel this pull request and then get rid of the branch that's all the way in the remote repository. So we'll do feature and then add middle name to customer. And the way that you'll delete it, so right now we're just going to delete this feature branch from here. So we'll still have it locally, so we don't have to worry about that. And the way that you do that is by doing git push origin dash dash delete, and then our name of the branch, which is feature add middle name customer. All right, and then so when this is done, this branch should be gone. When we go ahead and then refresh this. Yep, so now that branch is gone. But right now we're still trying to push things to that upstream that we still had. Remember when we set the upstream? So right now we just need to unset the upstream. So unset upstream. And then yep. And I think that's it. All right. So now we're all good. So all that did was just disconnect our local branch from all that remote stuff. So now we're okay to make changes locally and then redo our pull request. So again, this is kind of like the worst case scenario where we've already made a pull request, then we have to handle merge conflicts. So this is as bad as it gets, and we'll still be able to handle it. Not too bad. All right, and then so all we have to do now is to do git merge master to get those changes in, and it's letting us know that there's a conflict. But that's the reason why we're doing this. We were preparing for that, so that way our teammates wouldn't have to would be able to avoid the same mistake. So let's go do a git status and see what the conflict is. It's saying both have been modified in the customer.java. So let's go ahead and reload our file. And again, it's showing you that this is what's on the head, so where we are at right now. So all the head is telling us is where we're at, which is right here at the top of this feature branch. And there we go. So this code is in the head, which has the middle name code. And then in between this other section, we have the code that's on the master branch. And then we also have this differing down here, where we have set middle name and set last name. So we have a couple conflicts to deal with. So remember that we actually just want to keep both of these changes. So let's go ahead and put that up there. Put the last name being set in here. And put the last name up here. Go ahead and delete that. And then our goal is to just make this look the way that we would want it to be looking. All right, so that's looking better already. And we just want to keep both of these, except for that last bracket. All right, let's go make sure the white space looks nice. And I think that looks good. So we have our first, middle, and last name. And first, getting the first, getting the last, getting the middle. Let's just actually reorder that. So that way it's first, middle, last, because I think that makes a little more sense. And then set first, set middle, set last. So this is all the code that we want. So we were able to resolve the conflict. All right, so now that we know that the conflict is resolved, let's do git status again. And it says use git add and then the file to mark the resolution. So we've resolved our problem. So we'll say git add customer.java. Okay, and then git status. Now what should we do next? And it says all conflicts fixed, but you are still merging. Use git commit to conclude the merge. So git commit. All right, and so now what this opens, so if you're using a terminal, it'll open whatever your default text editor is. And the default that comes with Windows is in the bash shell will be VI. So that's why it looks kind of weird and it has different colors. But all this is doing is giving us an opportunity to add a message to our commit for the merge. So we're creating a merge commit, and this is our chance to add a message to it because we didn't use that -m thing that we've been using. So to get out of VI, if you have a terminal, if you're in VI right now, you do escape :WQ, and that stands for write quit. But you most likely won't have to worry about this. But in case you do get this showing up and you don't know what to do or how to get out of it, this is how you do it. But if this doesn't show up, then you don't have to worry about it. All right. So now if we do git status, our merge is completed. So we were able to get that code into our local feature branch, fix all the conflicts, and it really wasn't that painful. And if we look at the log, right now we have, we're caught up to the master branch and we have the merge. So let's go update our picture and see what this looks like. So what happened is we're now here. We don't want that in green. Let's make that in blue again. So now we have a new commit right here. And this is our other merge commit. I can't really, I'm having a hard time writing with this here. But that's where our new head of the thing is. So we'll go ahead and move this up to here and say our new feature branch head is up here at this merge commit. So now we want to get these commits into the remote repository so we can make a pull request so that other teammates can get these features as well. And we'll do that in the same way that we started in the beginning. So you just do get status. And then just for sanity's sake, because in case we have to do this again and another teammate completed a pull request, we'll check out master and then pull in case we have to do anything else. And it's checking right now and it says it's up to date, but that's just in case one of our teammates had completed something else in the meantime. So that way we don't have to go and delete that remote branch again. All right, so let's go back to our middle name customer and then we'll push set upstream origin feature add middle name. All right, there we go. So now we pushed it, and actually a lot of the time it'll give you this handy dandy URL, and then if you just copy that, that will automatically take you to creating a new pull request. So we don't even have to go through clicking the buttons over there. And then we'll create a pull request the same way as we did before. And if you look at the code here for the commits, it'll show the middle name and then the last name is already there. So it's showing that we've already put the code from the other pull request in here already. And then we have everything that we need. So our teammates will be able to come over and approve this pull request. And then when it's ready, all I have to do is go to click merge, and then everybody on our team should get an email. And then everybody goes to their main or master branches, pulls in our new feature changes, making sure that they merge those changes into whatever branch they're working on. And then that's it. And then you just keep working, making new features. And the reason why this is really good is because since I did the merging here from the main branch into my feature branch, then I'm the only one who has to fix the conflicts. If I did it the other way around, then all of my teammates would have to do the fix. And if we didn't do it all the same way, then we'd end up with even more conflicts and it would just get even more and more complicated. But because we're going through this process of making a new feature branch, always pulling the main and then merging it into our feature branches as the new changes come in, we'll always stay up to date. All of our teammates are going to get the latest versions, and then we aren't going to run into any more problems than one person can't go and fix themselves. And so it's really important to communicate with your team when you think you're going to be working on the same file. And sometimes it's unavoidable, but this is the best way, or this is a way that you can go ahead and then manage working as a team. And it really only involves a couple commands extra beyond just working by yourself. All right, I hope you found this video useful.